Third down and 20.
There is a specific reason I brought my boy Lunas on here. Lunas is a big Eagles fan, and
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, and I wanted to do for this episode kind of like last episode where we did an analysis of Daniel Jones and asked whether or not I would keep Daniel Jones, not necessarily asking the question of whether or not I would keep Carson Wentz, but kind of going into an analysis of Carson Wentz and what's going on with the whole Eagles offense. I've been seeing a whole lot of stuff online of people saying, oh, Wentz should get benched. The Eagles need to find a new quarterback. And real quick, before we get into the analysis, Lunas, I kind of just wanted your opinion on the whole Wentz situation and whether or not you would bench him and just kind of your general thoughts on the whole thing.
No, I wouldn't bench him. Well, for starters, I don't think Jalen Hurts would be better than Wentz. Obviously, he's a different playing style, but you'd have to change your entire offense for him to be successful. And second, I already think he's in his head already enough, and we're gonna get into it more with his hesitancy plays and like him just being like kind of gun shy to throw. And I think if you bench him at this point, you kind of lose him. Like his confidence is gonna be completely shot. I don't know if he'll be able to ever go back to even like people bring up 2017. If he can even get back to how he was last season, where he threw 27 touchdowns to 7 picks. So he's having a bad year. I think they don't have an offensive coordinator, which I didn't understand heading into the season. Doug Peterson was just like, I'm gonna do it myself. I think they hire one and bring in a new offense for next season before they get rid of Wentz.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's get into the analysis. All right. So, wrong play. So I like that you mentioned Carson Wentz's hesitancy because I think that all Eagles fans can agree that Carson Wentz just hasn't really been himself, especially recently. Um, you can blame the offensive line, you can blame the receivers. They don't have a 500-yard receiver right now, which is kind of ridiculous at this point in the season. But here's a good play that you actually showed to me of an example of Carson Wentz being hesitant. And you're going to see at the top of the screen, I'm actually going to get out of full screen here. You're going to see at the top of the screen, they're going to have a rub route. And this is just a really good example because you can see that Carson Wentz, there's a small window for him to hit this throw. It's really subtle. But you've seen it time and time again. You can see he's lining up for the throw here. He wants to throw it. He knows what's coming. He knows what he wants. And he just pulls it down for some reason and throws it late. And Lunas, you actually showed this play to me while I was watching film in other games. And how often have you been seeing this from Wentz?
It's been like repeated every single game this season. Like we're gonna bring up even more plays of him doing it, but he's seen like I don't know if it was those early. I mean, he's still throwing interceptions, but I don't know if it was just starting the season with a couple straight games with 2 interceptions. But since the start of the season, ever since after like the first 2 games or so, he's been completely gun shy on a lot of his throws. And I brought up that play because even situationally, that's 3rd and 3 where they had to result in a field goal in a close divisional game. Or if he just kind of trusts his arm and trusts the play call, which would have worked, and just threw that right away, would have been complete. But because of that hesitancy, Bradbury was able to break on it, and they have to kick a field goal instead.
Yeah, and it's just weird to see that out of a guy like Carson Wentz because coming in and beforehand in seasons prior, 2017, 2018, even 2019, he was a guy that was just a gunslinging quarterback. He was someone that was seen as he doesn't care about throwing into a tight window. If he sees something open, he's going to take advantage of it. But whether he's in his own head, whether it's because of the lack of an offensive coordinator, it's his confidence. I don't know what is going on. And speaking of that, what is going on? The pick six against the Browns last week was a really good example of what is he seeing? Is he in his own head? What is going on with Carson Wentz? In the post-game interview after this game, he said, oh, when I see someone open, I throw it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. What does he miss here? He has Rager in the slot wide open.
And he looks at him too.
Yeah, he's looking right at him. What is he seeing? What is going on? Steve, what is your like kind of prediction and now like what do you think is going on in Wentz's head that he's missing plays like this?
You could clearly see that he's looking at him there, like y'all said. You just when I see him Wentz is a guy who doesn't trust himself, and it's just kind of like how a second baseman in baseball or a pitcher gets the yips and can't throw a strike or can't throw the ball to first. Maybe he sees a wide open target and just says, "I can't make that throw right now."
We'll get into some more of the blocking problems with the offensive line of the Eagles, but here's just a quick foreshadowing of what's going on. When I was doing my analysis of the Eagles, I wanted to say to myself, like, yes, we all know Carson Wentz is playing poorly, but what more than Carson Wentz is going on? And man, this Eagles offensive line just can't pick up blitzes. You see here they have a green dog off this right side that we were talking.
Richard Rodgers
Yeah, he
completely
just
misses it.
misses him. And you can blame Wentz for missing Rager here. But at the same time, he has the right idea. He doesn't like what he sees for whatever reason, and he goes to hit the check down, but is hit while he's thrown. You can blame this on Wentz all you want for missing Rager, but my God, the amount of missed blocks that you see from this team, we'll get into more in a couple of clips, but Jesus. And I think that my analysis of just Carson Wentz, not the other problems with the offense, can really be surmised with this one play here, this one example against the Giants. So what the Eagles are going to have called here is they're just going to have a levels concept. They're going to have two ins by these receivers on the left, and this tight end is running a basic, just 10 yards in. And you're reading the middle of the field linebacker. If they come up short on the digs, then you throw it to the basic to the tight end over top. If this linebacker's sitting deep, then you just throw it to the in route. And it's a fairly basic concept. This is something that NFL teams have been running for the past 20, 30 years, right? And, Carson Wentz, he just gives up on it. And this is another thing that I've seen, aside from him just hesitating on open concepts. I think it's the fact that he's really feeling the pass rush. He has the dig wide open in the beginning. And, he snaps to it. He snaps to it right here. And I don't know why he gives up on this. I don't know why he can easily sidestep to his right a couple of steps and hit this. And even if he wants to wait in the pocket, Blake Martinez, this middle linebacker, is bombing forward. If he can buy a little bit of time in the pocket, he can hit this basic. He can hit this guy for a nice little play here. But for some reason, Carson Wentz, I think he's feeling the rush because of their offensive line problems. 9 different starting offensive line combinations coming into week 11 against the Browns. Just no consistency. Guys moving all around. He can't trust what he's seeing. And then he wants to leave the pocket.
Yeah, I was about to say, going on that point, I think a big one right now. They've obviously had a ton of injuries, but something like this where I think it's pretty obvious the right play is what you said would be him stepping up in the pocket a little bit to the right and kind of stepping into that throw more, whether it be to that dig or just one of the people coming inside. But he just kind of just doesn't trust it, immediately goes to spin out of the pocket, and then we see what happens next. But I thought this is what you said, a perfect example of him trying to play hero ball and just do too much by himself.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to get into next is not only is he giving up on open concepts, is he hesitating on plays that he's seeing, he's just not confident to hit it in a tight window. Then he starts trying to play hero ball. Then he starts trying to put this team on his back. And I can see why he wants to do it. Their offense is really struggling to produce. He doesn't have those receivers that he can really trust. He's not trusting his offensive line. But you'll see all the problems that results from him doing these hero ball plays. You're giving up on a throw where you have 5 yards of space to a dig. And he says, "No, I don't want it. I don't want it. So that he can roll out and make this throw into double coverage, just backyard football route, easy interception for Bradbury. It's just a problem for Carson Wentz and this Eagles football team. And I can guarantee you this Eagles staff has been trying to get Carson Wentz to just take what the defense gives him. Coming into this Week 11 game against the Browns, in an interview with the production team, that was the main thing he hit on. Oh, I just got to do a better job of taking what the defense gives me. And man, he has not been doing that. Here's a play against the Ravens. You're down 17-0 going into halftime. And Carson Wentz just makes these mind-boggling decisions. There's nothing here. There's a free rusher. Just take the sack. The guy is like the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. He should be used to taking sacks by now.
Yeah.
But he just wants to make plays so desperately. They are lucky that this isn't more points on the board for the Ravens. They could be going into this game down 24-0. Just hit while he's thrown. And it's not that this is just a one-off problem. It's not that, it's just one or two times a game this has happened. It's every single week, every single game, multiple times a game, he has these problems. Here's another example against the Cowboys. And now we're going to start transitioning into some of the other problems with the Eagles offense, because it's not just on Carson Wentz. Yeah, he hasn't been playing well, but he is not the only person guilty of playing poorly on this Eagles offensive team. So what you're going to have here is going to be 8-man pass protection. You're going to have, or 7-man protection with a fake to the back, supposed to be to the right. It ends up being to the left, which you'll see why this is a big deal. And you're just going to have this deep post over here with an over route, trying to suck up these linebackers and hit an over route behind. If the safety bites on the over, you hit the post one-on-one coverage against a corner. But you'll see, this is Jason Huntley, a guy they picked up off the street. Do I need analysis for this?
Completely wrong direction. And the linebackers don't bite at that at all.
This is Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, 2 all-pro caliber linebackers. You think they're biting for this play fake here? Whole offensive
pick
line.
Up on that pretty quick.
Yeah, the whole offensive line sliding to the right. Carson Wentz opening to the right. Jason Huntley goes to the left. And you'll see why this is a huge problem, because instantly, Leighton Vander Esch, he only takes 1 step forward on this play action. Half a step forward. Then once he sees, he starts looking for the over route. So you have a double team on this post and almost a triple team on this over route. Where is Carson Wentz going to go with the football? The plays are designed to do things for a reason. If you're going to run the wrong way, the play is blown up. And then now you compound that with Carson Wentz trying to be a hero. All right, we ran the play wrong. Here we go, trying to be a hero.
And
sack turnover.
He's got to throw that away. And obviously the beginning part was a mess up on the running back, because Fulgham, I think, would have been open across the middle had that linebacker not picked him up. But at that point, once you kind of know the plays and it's only a 2-man route, and both those guys are getting double covered, you've got to throw it away. You escaped it early on sack. He's just trying to do too much, and it ends up being a turnover in their own territory.
It's the 2 biggest problems with Carson Wentz right now. He's hesitating on open concepts, giving up on open concepts, and when he gives up on them, he just tries to be a hero, and he ends up becoming his team's worst villain. This form of Carson Wentz that is trying to do way too much. He is not, and it's the same story every week with his post-game pressers. It's, I got to be better. I got to watch the tape. I got to take what the defense gives me. What, are you ever going to start actually practicing the words you preach? Or are you still going to do the same stupid shit over and over and over and lose your team football games?
I don't know if you saw a report. This is kind of a side topic. It's not, they don't know how verified it is to be true, but it became a national story and talking point on like ESPN and Fox Sports about how there's been reports that the Eagles coaches aren't being hard enough on him in practice. And he's getting by with sloppy plays like that.
You can see it. You can see it.
Yeah.
He's doing the same. It's the same story every week. It's the same problems every week for this Eagles football team. And we're going to get into the second reason why the Eagles are sucking ass on offense, aside from Carson Wentz. And it's the blocking. And I hate to do Jason Peters, one of the best left tackles I've seen in my lifetime. The guy's been he's a Hall of Famer, right? He's really good. He played like ass against the Browns. He needed to be benched, and I'm pretty sure he eventually was benched. But my God, he had the worst game I've ever seen. Everyone's talking about the safety with Carson Wentz and how he's been, he needed to get rid of the ball. Well, here's the play before the safety. Just take a look at my man Jason Peters at the left tackle and what Olivier Vernon is able to do on this play. Olivier Vernon is able to beat him to the inside and make the play all the way across his face. This is supposed to be the left tackle that you can rely on, the blindside blocker, your stud offensive lineman, him and Lane Johnson. Coming into the season, this was the strength of your Eagles team was your tackles. And now, once again, this has become the biggest weakness for this Eagles football team. Their tackle play against the Browns was absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. This is a good front to run the ball against. Yeah, it's a 7-man box, but look at all the space inside.
I was gonna say, if you go up the middle, there's a lot of room.
There's a ton of space inside. And usually the running game has been really good for this Eagles team. They're averaging the same numbers they did last year running the football, but it's this blocking, and it's not even just the fact that guys like Jason Peters are appearing to be washed. It's the overall miscommunications on this offensive line, and from Carson Wentz not picking up the blitz. They're going to be blitzing a safety over here, and Carson Wentz is going to see it. He's going to call it out. You see him pointing right there. He sees the safety. I'm pretty sure he's going to be telling Boston Scott to go to the left. They're going to be faking it to the right, but I'm pretty sure this is not like Huntley on the play a couple plays ago going the wrong direction. I mean, we're not in the meeting room, so we don't know for sure, but I am pretty sure they are telling Boston Scott to disregard the play fake. Let's block it up on the other side. We see the blitz coming. But the problem here is you're going to have this tackle here and this tackle here, and most of the offensive linemen sliding to the right. At 69, my man 69, he's had some rough plays on tape for this Eagles football team. Does not slide. And you're going to see the giant hole it leaves in between this tackle and guard that DeMarcus Lawrence is going to take advantage of for basically a free sack. And it's just plays like this. You can blame Carson Wentz for holding on to the ball and for all the mistakes that he's made. But for as many plays as Carson Wentz fucks up, there's plays like this for the Eagles too. He's not the only guilty party.
I think this is where you really see the impact of, like what you said, 9 different line combinations through 10, 11 weeks. There's zero chemistry in terms of, I don't know if maybe 69 just thought it was the wrong play, but how that offensive line was supposed to slide just went terribly wrong.
It's just there's multiple guys on the wrong page. Multiple players. And, if you look at the all-22 again, the big problem with this is that they have the play they want. They have the look they want. You're going to see Fulgham at the top of the screen on this dig route. He's going to be wide open for a first down. He's going to be wide open with great leverage right at the top of your screen. Free pass rusher, though. It all starts up front. Any offense, it starts up front. The Eagles cannot block up front. Here's the safety. And the safety is embarrassing if you're this Eagles offensive line. Olivier Vernon is going to make this play. Watch how many players block Olivier Vernon. Greg Ward is going to chip him, and then they're going to have him doubled. And he's able to make this sack. Are you kidding me?
Christ.
You can blame
Seamus
Carson
too.
Wentz, but he can't see it. This is supposed to be the blind side. You have a chip and double team on Olivier Vernon. Okay, maybe if it's Aaron Donald, that's one thing. This is Olivier Vernon. This isn't even Myles Garrett, their defensive player of the year candidate. This is Olivier Vernon beating a chip and double team, and you'll see the problem. You'll have Dallas Goedert in this seam wide open, and Carson Wentz is about to hit him.
I was about to say that's the big difference. Like that play goes from what should have been probably like a at least 30 on what Goddard does after the catch. But it goes from that if just two people can hold off Olivier Vernon on the blind side to now a safety where Wentz doesn't see it coming at all. Because if you look at the play, the right side where he's looking at is holding up okay for the most part. And I just don't think he expected that coming because he was expecting the double team would be able to handle Vernon, especially with the
This
chip.
Eagles-Browns game was like, and I took the Eagles as my dog of the week. I liked him this week, but my God,
I bet the Eagles too.
this is atrocious. This is just a coach's tape into how to not block. You'll see here, the Browns are going to have a little fire zone off the left. Just watch the right side of the offensive line. Now, this is also on Carson Wentz for not seeing this, for the record. This is on Carson Wentz for not shifting this offensive line to the left and seeing the blitz. But where is the effort at the same time? Where is the effort from crap. Where is the effort from guys looking for work? Just standing around. 69, my man.
Dude,
Do you want to help your football team?
There's 4 guys not blocking right there.
You know, I can understand Carson Wentz may have missed this blitz off the left side and not shifted the offensive line. Maybe it's the coaches for not calling the right plays. But at the same time, where's the effort? Where is the will to win? Where, as a guard, if you have no one on you, look for some damn work. Look for someone to block. You have a whole side of offense. The only one who's doing is Jason Kelce. He's the only one that seems to want to win football games and block for Carson Wentz. And my man is playing hurt as well. Absolutely absurd. But go ahead, blame Carson Wentz for all the Eagles' problems.
How's it saying? That's a 4-man rush against 6 blockers, where one guy comes free, pretty much just forcing Wentz into some kind of throw.
Yeah, and okay, go ahead. You can say all you want. Carson Wentz is a bad throw. Thrown it into coverage. Just think about it contextually as well. This is, you've had no offense the entire game. The entire season, everyone's been crapping on. You have a free rusher off the outside. You see one-on-one. Can you really blame him for making that throw? Are you really going to blame him that much?
I don't know what else.
Yeah, Carson Wentz has his fault. But Jesus Christ. They're not helping him out at all.
It's not a bad look. It's Fulgham one-on-one with the corner. With the other guy coming in late, but at that point, the ball's already there.
Yeah, you paid Carson Wentz a big contract, but you can help your quarterback out every once in a while. And now let's get into the other problem. It's on all phases. This is not just a quarterback problem. We started off with the quarterback problems, then we go up front. But what about the coaches? Look at this look here. You're a team that is averaging over 5 yards a carry. Look at this front. Look at it. This is so much space. This is a first down. The Eagles throw way too much on first down. They are one of the leading teams in throws on first down. Why are you throwing the ball on first down here? And not even why are you throwing the ball. You're really going to choose Travis Fulgham, your practice squad player, up against all-pro level Denzel Ward. One-on-one. That's really the look you're going to go for? You've been struggling to move the football all game, and that's the look you're going to decide to go for? You're going to say, no, we're not running the ball. Let's test Fulgham one-on-one against one of the best man coverage corners in the game. It's been eating his lunch all day, might I add.
On just a back shoulder fade.
Like you said,
which makes it even worse.
I think this team needs an offensive coordinator. Because Doug Peterson, this ain't doing it. It's on all
Yeah,
phases.
no, I didn't understand that before the season. They fired the offensive coordinator from last year, which I don't think it was a bad idea. Their offense had a lot of shitty tendencies last year. But then everyone was expecting them to hire someone and bring someone in, possibly the Vikings offensive coordinator from last year or quarterbacks coach, Filipio. I forgot his name.
Yeah, like
And
DiFlippio.
then yeah, because he was on that staff when they in 2017 with Wentz's best season. So people were expecting him to come back, and Peterson was just like, "I'm just going to do it myself," which I think kind of got set under the rug because people were hoping because Peterson was a former offensive coordinator that he'd be able to like still call the plays well, but it's not working at all. It hasn't worked at all. There's been no one fixing Wentz's mechanics. The play calling is extremely suspect.
Yeah, take a look at this
It's
here. 3rd and 6. Right? 3rd and 6. And look at this abysmal play call. It's 3rd down and 6. You can see that they're coming with a rush. There's no safeties anywhere in sight. And guess what we're going to do? Now we're running around the ball.
a zone read with Wentz on 3rd and 6.
My goodness, it doesn't matter what quarterback you have back here. This is never going to work. This is never winning you football games. This is and this is a team, might I add, that last week before this Browns game didn't convert a single 3rd down against the Giants. So you'd think that in the week leading up they'd be working on some 3rd downs a little bit. At least in theory.
That's what they come up with, though.
Seriously? This is your play call?
It gets worse. I actually mixed this up with the play I was thinking about. There was this on 3rd and 6. There's a 3rd and 7 later this game where they not even read option. They just run a quarterback draw with Wentz up the middle. And that went about as you expected. It gained like a solid yard and a half on 3rd and 7.
Your average 12-year-old Madden player can come up with a better play call than this.
Yeah.
Especially
And once again, like it's on all phases. Now let's get to the receivers. Let's get to the receivers now, because we touched on Wentz, we touched on the quarterbacks, we touched on the offensive line. Now let's touch on the skill players. Lunas, you had that stat right? The one of that problem with their short passing with their running backs.
Yeah. So one thing that Miles Sanders was actually before he became the full-time starter, one reason he was getting on the field so much was because he was such a threat in the receiving game. He was having multiple great receiving game with the Eagles, and last year at Miles Sanders targets, they were completed at 70 times, which is a really high percentage. That number has completely plummeted this year to 48.5%. It has gone completely down to shit. I don't know what's happened because Miles Sanders has played better. Sorry, the first number was 79.36.
79.36%. Now you're under 50%. And here's why. The first problem you're going to see is it's going to take so long for these guys on the side to win their matchup. By the time that you're going to see Rager actually get open, pass rush is getting there. Not only that, you're going to see Miles Sanders. What the hell are you doing, Miles Sanders? Why did you just stop? You're going to see the overall disconnect between Carson Wentz and Miles Sanders. And this has been happening in checkdowns with the running backs. It's happening in the short passing game and screens. Just their playmakers also have a part in blame for this. Now let's get to the most embarrassing clip before we end this analysis. Alshon Jeffrey at the end of this football game.
This is brutal. I was telling people all offseason, Alshon's washed.
This is just a jump ball to Alshon Jeffrey. Excuse me? What is that?
This is brutal. And if after this, if you can even get, I think the other angle shows it well too.
What is that jump?
I was telling Frank earlier, I saw something online. Alshon jumped and landed before the ball got there. This is terrible.
Yeah,
this is
Alshon probably good as over. Jesus Christ.
You know, this is a you can blame Wentz for this decision, but this is just your jump ball. Okay, my guy's bigger than yours. Let me just throw it up in the post.
Yeah,
You're right.
Alshon
He
lands before
literally
it gets there.
lands his jump before the ball gets there. It literally looks like he's a Fall Guys character.
And you'd think that play, it's either complete or it's batted out of the receiver's hands. Because Alshon it's an out route. He got inside leverage on him. He's a lot taller than Denzel Ward. He's like a big body receiver. And this was what Alshon was good at a couple years ago. Like this was his specialty, those kind of jump ball plays. And now that was, I don't know what that was, that pathetic excuse for like that kind of half jump way before the ball got
Yeah,
there.
they have not been able to win on the outside on third downs, which is a huge reason why they cannot convert third downs consistently. Teams have been blitzing them a ton because of their offensive line problems. They've been blitzed 15% more from 2019 to 2020 and 17% more from 2018 to 2020. An area where in 2018 Carson Wentz had over a 100 passer rating against the blitz. You can blame Carson Wentz all you want, but I don't care. You can say, "Oh, we should bench him for Jalen Hurts." Does Jalen Hurts really give you a better chance to win the football game after watching these clips, after watching the complete dysfunction of this Eagles offense?
I
Not
don't
if
think
your O
there's any
line's playing
shot.
like that. Yeah, like no one's gonna playing good in that circumstance. If the O line's just missing blocks like that, and receivers are dropping balls, can't get open or anything like that. It's just really the whole offense is just a mess all around.
I can if Jalen Hurts is able to go in there as a rookie and pretty much play lights out, mistake-free football completely. Okay, yeah, he can give you a better chance to win the football game. But you really want to put your rookie quarterback in that scenario? You really want to shove him in there?
It'd be
You know,
terrible.
Carson Wentz has his fair share of the blame for trying to do too much and for the consistent turnovers. I mean, he's leading the league in interceptions and fumbles. And I can see why you Eagles fans want to bench Carson Wentz. I can see it. Everyone can see it. But Carson Wentz is not the only one to blame for this dysfunction going on with the Eagles. It is on everyone, the offensive line, the receivers, the coaching staff, and the quarterback. So I'm tired of hearing, "Oh, well, if we benched Carson Wentz, all of our problems are solved. We'll easily be a better offense." All these experts saying that, you only have to watch one game back to see that these problems extend way further than the quarterback position.
1,000%. And I think even with Hurts, one, I think he'd be significantly worse. Two, it's the thing with him. First off, you knew he was a project coming out of college. You knew he'd be to be successful in the NFL. I think it's going to take a couple years of coaching, and getting used to NFL defenses and reading them. And then third, I think he needs a good O line to be able to succeed because I don't see how he could possibly do well, especially on a lot of like QB runs and stuff, with how bad that O line is played. With it's just a constant musical chairs thing. Like people are switching positions all the time. I don't see that could be any better. And I think what's going to ultimately end up happening with the Eagles is this season's kind of a wash. I don't even think they somehow might win the division. I have no idea how. Like I don't see them winning either of the next 4 games. Um, but I just think they're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator next year. He's going to change up pretty much that entire offense, try to fix Wentz's mechanics. At least that's what I think they should do. But we're going to see. I don't think though benching Wentz right now is the answer.
Yeah, just
No, I
really.
agree.
You can go on, Steve.
Yeah, I agree. You were right. Like Wentz has some fault in there, but like it's just clearly like the offense needs a change to it. And if you brought in a new OC, did a couple things, like make Wentz comfortable because you can see on like almost every play, Wentz just looks so out of sorts because he doesn't have trust there. He doesn't have trust in his receivers and doesn't have trust in his own line. So I think if you gave him a little new system, at the end of the day, you paid $128 million for this guy. He's a top 10 paid quarterback. He's drafted number 2 overall. He has played exceptionally well in previous years, just because he's had one horrible year and not all his fault. I don't see why in the world why you would bench him.
Yeah, and even, people are calling for the Eagles to start looking for a new quarterback in the offseason. I
Listen,
think that Wentz has shown that he can play.
I think like a lot of people like experts and maybe fans or whatever. It it's gone back to like the Super Bowl run. I think like when Nick Foles won it, and like even then Wentz was getting trashed. Well, Nick Foles can do it. We don't really need Wentz, even though Wentz won 11 games that year and was going to be the Super Bowl. It was going to be the MVP and was going to win the Super Bowl. And I feel like since then it's just always been kind of, and he's only played in like what barely a quarter of a playoff game. He's always had these injuries, and the crap talks has always been there. There's been the hate on Wentz. So I think that's why you also see like a lot of this stuff on why like people want Wentz out.
Yeah, I got a whole long list of problems with this Eagles offense. Only a handful of them have to do with the quarterback. And at the end of the day, if you're an Eagles fan and you're looking to give up on Carson Wentz or even give up on Jay, say, oh, in the offseason we need a completely new start. It starts up front. You need better offensive line play, which a lot of that has been due to injuries. I will understand that. You need some guys that consistently win on the outside. And like Luna said, you need a damn offensive coordinator because clearly the game plan's not working. The amount of times I've seen this Eagles team give up on the running game in the second half, throw the ball on first down, keep Carson Wentz inside of the pocket instead of trying to have some plays where you're getting him outside the pocket or even taking advantage of his athleticism a little bit. It's just absolutely absurd.